Welcome, guys, to another trading review. My name is Andre, and this week was pretty good, actually. 100% win rate this week. So let's get right on to it. All right. So the week started. The first trade I took was on a Tuesday. And let's see. Okay. So the 4 hour was bullish. All right. I remember this one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, exactly. This was the first NQ trade live session, a live session NQ trade for the first time. So I remember the 4 hour was bullish, but it went up without a bottom wick, right? So it had no bottom wick. So I didn't want to take the buys then. And then it came down, made the bottom wick and started to go up again. So at that point, all right, I'm ready. 4 hour bullish, bottom wick made, let's go. All right, so the 1 hour closed bearish, but it seems like it's just a pullback, right? To make that lower wick on the 4 hour. So you see that break of lows right here, it's the break of the 4 hour lows. So it made that wick and started to come back up. All right. So let's see the 30. Now 30 onion. All right. This looks great. 30 closed back above. Okay. With the onion, it broke the previous lows and closed bullish. All right. This setup is called an onion, or trend continuation setup. Works both ways. And and if you look at the 15, that was the confirmation for my entry. I remember that day on the live stream, we were waiting for this candle to close above, right? We were waiting for something like this, which it didn't happen. Price was moving around it, but it came back down and closed below that support. So I couldn't take these buys, right? So I waited, and I told my guys, listen, let's wait for a celery. And guess what happened? A celery, right? So candle went down, respected the previous lows, and came back up to close above that support. Celery candle. And we waited for the lows to be created. We had the lows tapping this area more or less, and it broke the previous highs. So I got in. This was my partials around these wicks, and my full TP was here. It eventually tapped target right there, full target, but it stopped me out first. All right. So after it hit my partials, I moved my stops to break even, and it stopped me out. So that was the first trade. Let's move on to the second. So the second trade was a breakout on gold. Let's start with the 4 hour. The 4 hour here is bullish. As you can see on the previous one, it's wick bullish. Now the current one is coming down. It made a high, it's rejecting, it broke the previous lows, and it's coming back down. And the funny thing here is the 4 hour tap target, right? So every time I do my analysis, I ask myself, is the 4 hour going to a target, or has it tapped target already? And in this scenario, it tapped target. As you can see, there's this resistance and this one too. This is like an observational area on the 4 hour right here in between these ranges. And it tapped it and came back down to close below. And now after tapping target, it's rejecting. Okay, so I like the sell idea based on the fact that the 4 hour already, tapped the target. Okay, so let's move on to the 1 hour. The 1 hour was bearish. Okay, so great confirmation here on the break of these highs. Gave us the pack runner, tapped that resistance, broke the previous highs, and started breaking the previous lows and closed bearish, right? So the next one went up again, made a great top wick, respected the pack runner, and came back down and started to break the previous lows again. This is a clear sign of a bearish trend. Okay, so let's move on to the 30. The 30, we had a breakout here. Okay, so this candle closed below the support. The next one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I had a sell stop on this one. But I have a rule: when there's only 5 minutes left for the candle to close, I delete my sell stop. All right, and I think that was it. So the last 5 minutes, it made the move. So I had to wait for the next one. The next one made the high, broke the previous lows, and I got in. And my partials were right here at the support level. As you can see, it tapped, and it stopped me out at break even. So the next 15 went up, right? So the next 15 tapped that target that I had marked and went up, stopped me out at break even. And I can't really remember what happened next, but at that point, I'm already out, all right? So as you can see to the left on the 15, there's quite some mass here. There's a lot of supports, 1, 2 supports, right? And so that's where my partial is going to be. So my partials cannot be where I think price is going to go, or where do I feel price needs to go for me to enter in this trade based on the money that I get. It's not about it. So my partial is going to be where we have an area that price might reject. That's it. And if that's too close to my entry, I don't take. All right. In this scenario, it made sense for me to take it, and I took it. All right. So great trade. Let's move on to the next. So the third trade was also a breakout. All right. Let's start with the 4 hour. The 4 hour was bearish. Okay. We were at the support right here. Okay. But we had this wick to the left to fill, right? This one. Okay. So the idea here was the 4 hour to fill that wick to the left. Okay. Let's move on to the 1 hour. This, by the way, this was an NQ trade again. Okay. So NQ has been providing. All right. So more than gold, actually. Yeah, so the 1 hour was bearish, clear signs of a bearish trend, bearish closure, made the top wick, broke the lows. Bearish closure, made the top wick, broke the lows. If you look to the left, there's a lot of supports here. That's true. But if I'm not mistaken, this is a 9:30 Eastern trade. All right, 9:30 Eastern. And, NYSE open. There's a lot of volume. Okay, moving on to the 15 minutes, right, guys? Because I don't have the 30. For some reason, I don't have the 30 with me. I skipped it. My mistake. All right, my mistake. I'm sorry. So let's move on to the 15. And on the 15, we have a breakout. So look what happened here. Okay, so price was bearish, right? We formed a fresh support right here, and it went up. And we have a fresh resistance right there now. And it closed below that support, that new support formed. Right? The next one went up to make the top wick, up until here, and came back down and closed kind of sellery below that support. So at this point, price is telling me I want to go down. All right? It doesn't matter it matters a little bit. But, in spite of the supports that we have to the left, I want to go down. This is what price was telling me. Now, the next candle, I think I had a sell stop on a break of these lows, actually. But it didn't break. So the next candle closed back into the range, giving us a what? A fake out. All right, so now we have a fake out. Price closed back above that new support right here. Okay, so at this point, all right, so price closed below and now closed back up. Is price gonna go up? We don't know. It's a bullish closure, but not the best bullish closure because we have this big top wick. And so the next candle came back down and closed below, right? It closed below 9:30. Oh, this was not 9:30 though. This was not 9:30. My bad. This is 1 hour after 9:30. Okay. Still a lot of volume though. And the 4 hour was forming still. It made the top wick and now it's coming back down, right? And we had the breakout. So again, another breakout below that support. That's price telling me he wants to keep going down, right? And that's what happened. We had the target right there, the 15-minute support, if I'm not mistaken. That was the target. I put my stops above this high, not above this area, because it broke the highs twice. Right? Obviously, the best stop loss is going to be up here. All right. I just didn't want to risk more than this after it broke the highs twice. All right. So yeah. All right. Moving on to the last trade of the week. It was on Friday. Inverted sellery. Let's check it out. Okay. So the 4 hour was bullish. All right. We had this closure below that support, and then the next 4 hour went up without a bottom wick, right? And closed above that resistance and this support to the left. Okay, so price was pretty bullish, not gonna lie. And if you look at this top wick, is not the best though, but it is what it is. We gotta play with the cards that are dealt to us, right? And based on this 4 hour, I was pretty bullish. Yeah, so the 1 hour, look at this, the 1 hour was bearish. Okay, the 1 hour was looking like this at the time I took the buys. Okay, so yeah, so it was looking like this, something like that, right? Yeah, something like this. I took the buys here because, you know, if you look to the left, there's a resistance right here. There's this mess. So yeah, it's not surprising that the 1 hour started to reject that level. If you align it with the 4 hour, even more sense it makes, right? Looking at the 30 minutes, we had, this was the scary one, all right, for me at least. This was the scary one. I took this trade based on volume as well. Let's see if I don't get this wrong. Yeah, exactly. So this one, yes, this was a 9:30 Eastern NYSE open trade. So there's a lot of volume in there. But, you know, the 30 didn't look that great, at least for me, you know, because we had this support to the left right here, and the 30 closed below, right? And we have clean range at least up until these wicks right here. But yeah, so the next 30 went down, respected the previous lows, and started to come up, right? So now let's check the 15 because that was the confirmation for me to take the buys. This was an inverted salary again, right? And like this candle right here broke the previous lows and still came back up to close above this level right here. So that was the main point. Okay, that was the main reason for me to take these buys, because if this candle had closed something like this, I wouldn't take this buy at all. Right, I would wait for the closure at this point. But 9:30 volume, I know that if price breaks that high, if the candle looks like this, I've collected data on this, and in 9:30 at 9:30 Eastern, if the candle breaks that high, it might not wait for me. So I gotta take advantage of the volume, and that's exactly what I did. All right. Obviously, we had this resistance to the left and then this math to the left. Again, volume is the key word here. NYSE open, volume. All right, guys. So that's it. Great trade, great week. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching. And let's see next week how it goes, because it might not be a red month. Even with this start of the month, it might end green. Right? Let's keep the hopes up. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend. Love y'all. Peace.